Hi there, welcome to my channel where females learn about their bodies and optimize their health. Today we are going to be looking at your womb, also known as uterus, and I'll be using these words interchangeably throughout this video so you can get used to them. I recommend you start the series from the beginning so you understand everything I'm talking about. We already explored the vulva, we've talked about the vagina, and today we are on the womb or the uterus. So if you're excited to know all about your womb, let's get into it. So the uterus is quite a special place because every single person you know on this earth spent about 9 months living here. Whether the person currently lives in Aso Rock or they are now staying under the bridge, it doesn't matter where they are today. The womb was their first home. It is where the face takes shape. It's where the hands and the legs will sprout and come out. It's where everybody basically became fully formed human beings. For a quick recap of that process, what actually happens there is that the sperm from a man will come and meet the egg from a woman, and both of them will fall in love and become one, and they will agree like, we're going nowhere till death do us part, we're going to remain one. Then the beautiful sperm egg couple will now travel down and come and implant in this wall that you can see here. And in case you don't know what this is actually the uterus. These are the fallopian tubes going out, and this is the vagina, this is the cervix. So back to our gist. So the beautiful sperm egg couple will now come and enter this place. They'll come and implant here and start growing into a baby, and baby starts getting big. 9 months later, everybody's running helter-skelter in labor ward because the baby is ready to come to the world and the woman has to push that baby out. So that's just the whole gist. For this reason, I actually see the uterus as an Airbnb or a hotel because the baby stay in this place is limited. And you know, with Airbnbs and hotels, you can't stay there forever. Like when your money finishes or when the time you are allocated to stay there is up, you have to get out. And the baby stay in this place is limited for about 9 months, and he has to get out and come into the world basically. So I want you to also know that this uterus is not just a random place that the baby just finds somewhere to stay. It's actually specially made for the baby to grow in. And the reason why I say this is that every single month this womb actually prepares for the baby. You see these inside parts that you can see there's like a wall. It actually gets really thick, so when the sperm meets the egg and they fall in love and they're looking for somewhere to come and implant, they can see like enough space to come and choke themselves inside. But the problem now is, obviously we know not every month will a woman get pregnant. So if a woman does not get pregnant, guess what will happen? This uterus, this wall here that has gotten thick, will so vex. It will throw a tantrum and start vexing. Like, are you guys kidding me? Hey God, after all the work I've put in to make space for a baby, you people did not give me a baby. And guess what it's to do? It's to just break down, and this middle place that gets thick for the baby is going to shed and come out as blood, and that's what we see as menstruation. But don't worry, when we're talking about the menstrual cycle, I'll give you all that gist. But just know that this shedding and getting thick and shedding and getting thick keeps happening over and over again from puberty up until menopause. So like I said, when we're talking about a menstrual cycle video, we're going to explore all that. So like I said, this is the uterus we're looking at today, and what does it do? It serves as housing for the baby. It nourishes the developing fetus, and don't be weirded out by this word. Fetus is just another name for the baby during development. And how does it nourish a baby that is growing inside of it? Through the placenta. I know you must have heard this word a million times, but if you don't know what the placenta is, it's actually a connection or like a sieve that stays in between the mother and the baby. You know, when the baby is in the womb, he cannot breathe for itself, he cannot eat with his mouth. So that placenta actually carries everything from the mother's blood and passes, like things from the mother's blood will pass through the placenta and enter into the umbilical cord. And if you don't know what the umbilical cord is, it's just that rope that is normally connected to the baby's stomach. So if you touch your belly button right now, that was where your own umbilical cord was connected to your placenta that connected you to your mother when you were inside the womb. So it's through this placenta that the baby is going to receive oxygen, all the nutrients it needs to survive. Then like I said, if there's no pregnancy, if there's no implantation, if there's no sperm egg couple coming to choke itself here, then it's going to shed. This one will vex. I'm like, I'm done, I'm not doing this anymore. And it's to shed and come out as blood. But don't worry, after it has thrown a tantrum, it's going to relax again. I'm like, oh, now we can start again. Like, I'm done vexing, let's try this again. And it's keep doing this from puberty up until menopause. So that's just like the main gist of what we're going to be looking at today. So for our flow chart, we're starting from the outside, the vulva. We already saw everything about the vulva, the clitoris, the hymen. If you don't know what I'm talking about, so yeah, go back and look for the vulva video, part 1 and 2 self, because that's something you really have to go through. Then we come into the vagina, which is the muscular tube that leads into the womb, with the lower end being the cervix. Then we have the fallopian tubes, and then the ovaries on both sides. And today, this is where we are parking our bus, and this is where we are staying on. So yes, I just wanted to show you this picture because I know there's nobody that will tell me they have not seen this on social media. So when you see all those gorgeous maternity shoots that we love to look at, it's actually the uterus containing the baby that gets this big. From its original size of like an unripe avocado, it will stretch. The small uterus that is normally here will stretch and contain the baby, and that's actually what we we see. But one thing I wanted you to know is that it's not only a baby that can make the uterus big. If you don't take anything from this video, understand that there's so many other things that can make this thing big. Number one, excess fat. When someone is overweight, this place can look very, very big. And even some health issues that we're going to be exploring in other videos, like fibroids and even some cancers, also can cause this area to be very, very big. So if you understand that, you have to learn to hold your tongue when you see someone with a protruding abdomen. And when I say abdomen, I don't want you to be confused as well. This whole area here is your abdomen. If you've been calling it stomach, you are wrong. It is not your stomach. Your stomach is just a small organ inside here that actually collects food when you eat, but this whole area is your abdomen. So if you see someone with a protruding abdomen, I beg you, in the name of God, like, the world is already hard enough, don't add to anybody's problem. Because while congratulating someone if they're pregnant can actually be a very, very awesome thing, if you go and say hey, congrats, so I didn't know you were going to, like, you're giving birth soon or stuff like that, like, you can actually ruin someone's day and you can just distress them and trigger them, and it's just not what anybody wants. So please just be patient enough to calm down sometimes, especially when the person has not told you they're pregnant until, like, you're sure, so you don't cause distress to anybody, because people are going through a lot more than you can see on the surface. Now that you know how much the womb can stretch from the size of an avocado to be the baby bump, and I want us to now look at the walls of the womb, because the walls of the womb is so important for us to understand. So that's what we're going to be exploring today. We're going to be looking at the walls that make up this womb, and we're also going to be exploring the cervix. And don't worry, the gist is so interesting, and the reason why it's so important for you to know the walls of the womb is because of the wahala that this small thing can actually cause. So now, first thing I want you to know is that the womb has 3 layers: an inner layer, a middle layer, and an outer layer, and they have names that you're going to be learning shortly. Like I said, even if you don't get anything from this video, number one, don't be congratulating everybody you see with a big abdomen, and number two, understand that the uterus or the womb has 3 walls, and these 3 walls, especially 2 of them, have serious wahala that you have to master. So we're going to start our tour of the womb today from the inside, and we're going to go out. The inner layer you can see here is the endometrium, and even if this word sounds strange to you, don't worry, just pause this video and repeat it a couple of times. Endometrium, endometrium, endometrium. And the endometrium is the inner layer, and it's actually where the baby implants and starts to grow. We already talked about how when the sperm meets the egg, they become one and they come and form a baby here and implant here. So this inner layer is actually where the baby grows. If pregnancy doesn't occur as well, we talked about how the uterus will throw a tantrum and shed as blood. There's still this endometrium as well that comes out as blood, and this keeps happening over and over again from puberty up until menopause. Also, the endometrium is only meant to be inside the womb. That's one thing I want you to know. The place the endometrium is supposed to exist in this world is inside the womb. If you start seeing the endometrium anywhere that is not inside the womb, that's what we call endometriosis, and this comes with severe menstrual pain that can be so bad that some people might not even be able to get through their day. These are some people you see missing work and stuff like that. So just watch out for that video. I'll be having a different video where we explore endometriosis. But whenever you see or whenever you have severe menstrual pain, one of the things that can be causing it is when you have this endometrium, which is supposed to be inside the womb, when you start finding it elsewhere. Yeah, so that is the first layer. Let me allow your eyes rest real quick. Now we've spoken about the first layer, which is the endometrium, and we're going to the middle layer, which is the myometrium. And this myometrium is purely muscle, and it is responsible for the tensile strength of the womb. So when we say the womb can stretch for Africa, this is the myometrium, which is this thick layer here that makes it, that gives it the capacity to do that. So the muscle of this endometrium does not need to exercise. It's just that amazing. Yes, it's not like other muscles in your body that you need to be exercising. This one just does this thing the way it does. And as amazing as the myometrium is, it also can cause wahala, and you will not even believe. Like, I know I'm always pointing out different wahala that can come from different places, but I just want you to have an idea. So when you're faced with some certain kind of things, you're not blank and you're not confused, like, what's this doctor trying to explain to me? You have an understanding of what these things actually mean. But when I talk about the wahala of the myometrium, what I'm talking about is fibroids. Sometimes this myometrium you're seeing will just sit down on its own and start growing. And why you need to understand the topic of fibroids, which we'll be looking at in a different videos, because it's the problem of the black person. If you see 10 women that have fibroids, like at least 7 of them will be black. It's very common in Nigeria. Like, there's no week I go to the hospital and we don't see at least a patient coming in for this problem. So like I said, fibroids are when there's a growth in this layer. It's to just stand and start growing. And it's so amazing because fibroids can be so small that many women are even walking around with this right now and they don't even have any problems. But when it becomes a problem is when it gets so large and it starts causing a lot of problems. To get so large, it can even block this place that the baby is supposed to come and implant. It can press on things things are lying around and cause a lot of problems. Just watch out for that video. But we need to understand that the endometrium is the inner layer that the baby implant comes out as blood. If you find the endometrium anywhere else, it is going to be called what? Endometriosis. Yes, that was a nice guess. Then this middle layer is myometrium, and this myometrium can sit down on its own and just start growing and getting really big. And if you see a new growth in the myometrium, that's what we refer to as fibroids. And like I said, we'll be exploring this in a different video. So the third layer today that we're going to be looking at is the serosa, and that one does not really have any wahala. It's just there chilling, and it's kind of just a thin layer that covers up the uterus, and it's like the wrapper of the uterus. So if you imagine someone tying wrap around it, so that's exactly what the serosa is. So that's all. Like, you've actually mastered your uterus, or the walls of your uterus. Well, we cannot talk about the uterus without talking about the cervix, because we already said the cervix is like the gate man of the uterus. Nothing is going in or coming out without the cervix knowing. If this is sounding weird to you, go back and watch my female reproductive video so you can get a clear picture of what we're talking about. So I want you to understand the cervix is just not a very calm gate man. It can be very, very dramatic, and sometimes it can be very, very gentle. Let's take, for example, if no pregnancy happens and the endometrial layer wants to come out as blood during menstruation, the cervix will just open small so the endometrium can just pass and come out. But imagine if pregnancy actually happens during childbirth. Guess what will happen? This cervix that you're seeing will even disappear. It will get so wide because it's trying to make enough space for the baby to come out, and after a while it will disappear. So when you're in the hospital and you hear the doctor saying, oh, she's 2 cm dilated, what the doctor actually means is that this cervix has opened up about 2 cm, and when the doctor says she's fully effaced, that's him trying to tell you that the cervix has already even disappeared. So whatever it is anybody's doing, get ready, because that baby is going to drop soon. Like, the gate is wide open and the baby is about to come out. So that's actually what that means. Effaced means the cervix has disappeared, it has entered into the walls of this uterus, and fully dilated means that, like, it has opened up about 10 cm. So when you hear them say she's 10 cm dilated, that means yes, it has opened. But when she's fully effaced, that means we cannot even find the cervix again. So, oh yeah, everybody, nurses, that's our midwives, everybody gather together. Let's get ready for this baby. So yeah, why this cervix is so important as well is that when we talk about cervical cancer, this is where it's being affected, this cancer of this area. I'm going to have a series where I gist you of cancers, how it is formed, and cervical cancer is one I'm going to hammer on, because this country is not where you want to be suffering from an ailment that already has a prevention, and cervical cancer has a prevention. So I also want you to look out for my cervical cancer video, because you need to have an idea of everything that is going on. So that's basically that. We have finished talking about the uterus, the 3 layers, which is the endometrium, the myometrium, and the serosa, and then the cervix. And we've talked about how important these parts are. Don't forget that when you find the endometrium in another place, that's called endometriosis. When you find fibroids growing, it's actually in the myometrial layer. Let me just go back and show you. It's actually in this myometrial layer. The serosa is like the wrapper that just covers everything up. It really does not have much wahala. And the cervix is the gate man that can disappear during childbirth or open small during menstruation. And this is actually where it's affected when we mentioned cervical cancer, which we'll be exploring in a different video. Yeah, so here we have P-square. Like, every single month a woman can choose one. Will you see your period or will you get pregnant? And that's why I call this P-square. You get to choose, and the only people that will not be choosing are people that are on contraceptives, obviously, because some contraceptives can actually prevent you from getting pregnant and also keep your period away, but that's a different issue. So you have to now start making this choice actively. Should we come for naming ceremony, or are you going to wear pad? Like, which one is it? Sorry, P-square. So that's that. So there's nothing you remember from this video. Just remember that the uterus has 3 layers. I'm hammering upon this. The endometrium is where the baby enters and grows during pregnancy. The myometrium is quite stretchy, and that is where fibroids grow as well. And the serosa just covers everything up. It's kind of like the wrapper. And the lower part of the womb is the cervix, which is the major gate man of the womb. And that is your womb, guys. Yeah, that's all you need to know about that. I want you to pause this video right now and go down in the comment section and actually write the names of the 3 layers of the uterus. And I want you to tell me which of them you like most when it comes to what they do. Yeah, so one more thing, I actually want to use this as an avenue to tell you that if there's anything you're going through right now, be it mental, financial, romantic, academic, whatever part of your life is not really going the way you planned, I want you to just relax and just know that your uterus can expand from the size of like a lemon to accommodate 3 babies for those having triplets. So trust me, you have what it takes inside of you. You're more resilient than you look, and you're going to get through it, and you're doing all right. So that's just what I wanted to add there. So yes, next we are going to be exploring the fallopian tubes, the site for love at first sight, and I'm so excited for this one. We'll explore how fertilization happens, ectopic pregnancy, and even if you don't watch any video in this series, you need to watch that one. And the reason why I say that is you might be able to save a life with the information we're going to be talking about in the fallopian tube video, so don't miss that for anything. That is all. Like I said, if you have any questions, please reach out to me on Twitter or Instagram at Chef Dr. Bay, and I'll be sure to get back to you. Welcome back to my channel once again, where females learn about their bodies and optimize their health. See you on my next video. Bye.